Welcome to Meet the Candidates. Frankfort Plant Board has given us an opportunity to come in here to their studios, invite all of the candidates in, sit down and talk with them so you can get a better introduction to who they are as people and as candidates. I want to alert you to the fact that there's going to be a candidate forum on April the 26th down at the hotel. So participate if you can. Send in questions if you have them. And then please make every effort to be with us for the election returns on May the 22nd. We'll be coming to you from the county clerk's office. We'll have those numbers for you just as soon as they're available. And in order to get those numbers, we have to have you cast a vote. And for you to cast the most effective vote, you need to find out more about the candidates. And that's why we're here right now. We're going to be talking with Buddy Bennett and find out a little bit more about who he is. So, Buddy, I'd really appreciate it if you would tell our viewers who you are and how you function within the community and what gave you the idea to tackle this added responsibility.
Well, I'm a Frankfortian. I was born and raised in South Frankfort. I spent the first 25 years of my life, grew up on 3rd Street, big yellow house with 7 brothers and sisters. I got married, I moved into, I'm still in the city, but I've lived here most of my all of my 51 years. I have 3 children, Bradley 22, Clayton 18, and Evan 14. Bradley goes to Eastern, Clayton goes to Franklin County, and Evan will be going to Western Hills. But I graduated from Frankfort High in 1984.
That's been a while, and you have filled that time with lots of interesting experiences. What do you see as being some of the greatest issues that you want to tackle as a member of the City Commission?
Well, basically there's really 2 elephants in the room. The first being the big hole that we're going to have down where the Civic Center and Capitol Plaza has been raised and the tower came down. The second one is the Frankfort Plant Board. As far as the Civic Center goes, I'm going to rely heavily on the work that City Visions is doing. They have a really good and proven track record of doing all kind of studies and feasibility studies. And, you know, everybody can sit here and say, well, I want this down here. I want a 5,000 seat arena, or we need a 2,000 seat arena, or we need a convention center or a new hotel. These guys are professionals. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to be in lockstep with everything that they propose, but they've had a lot of success in other cities. And I'm going to use what the input that they give from, you know, a lot of the citizens. And I've been going to the community events that they've been putting on, getting my input, listening to so many voices, different voices. And that's one thing that I've noticed as I have announced my candidacy, is there's a whole lot of moving parts to this city. You know, there's a group over here and a group over here and a group over here. And so one thing I want to try to do is I want to try and bring everyone together and try and work together for the common good. So that being said, as far as the downtown area, I want to bring live bodies down there. I want to increase the tax base. You know, I want to make sure that area has the highest speed internet possible to attract the millennials. Without people and increasing our tax bases, Frankfort's going to die. Now, I've been with Lee Building Products. We were formerly Lee Brick and Block. We just rebranded. And I've been with them for 24 years, and I do residential and commercial sales. And I have traveled for 24 years in roughly 17 counties in central Kentucky. And I have watched other cities, smaller than the size, population-wise, of Frankfort, grow, prosper, and have nice things. Auditoriums, really nice baseball, softball fields. And I keep thinking to myself, why can't we have that? Why can't we, as the capital city, have that, and they've done it in a smart and responsible way. You know, there's no traffic jams or any, you know, overly congestion or anything like that. And their schools are brand new. They look like some of the schools in some of the neighboring counties. They look like courthouses because of the tax base, and we can't do anything. We've basically had zero population growth in Franklin County in 20 years. For too long, we've been relying on state government as the state government's going to bail us out. I think I read somewhere that there's 19,000 state employees that come to work in Franklin County every day and leave. Why don't those people want to live here? Why don't they want to stay here? Is it because we don't have those nice things that the other communities do? And I mentioned earlier about my kids. I want Frankfort to be a place that my kids, when they get out of college or technical school or whatever they do, they want to come home to. I want them to come home to Frankfort and live, and I want there to be, and I want, you know, for them to grow their families here. I mean, somebody's got to take care of me when I get older, you know. But you know, that's the main reason that I'm running.
How do you think we can go about that? I mean, what steps do you think we need to take to at least create a beginnings of that growth?
Well, one thing we can do for sure is we can create our own identity as a community. You know, we've kind of missed the boat on the bourbon. Here we are, the bourbon capital of the world, but you know, Bardstown, Kentucky. I rode through there yesterday on the way to the meeting in Bowling Green, and they're building warehouse after warehouse. Now, we're doing some of that here, but they have pretty much taken the title of bourbon capital. They want it, and they're working hard for that. And I'm told that they're putting on a $250,000, think about this for a minute, a $250,000 private symposium about where Bardstown, Kentucky is going to be in the next 20 to 30 years. Now that's done with private money. Bardstown has it going, and there's no reason Frankfort can't do the same.
Well, I know that there is a campaign underway, the Frankfort, Kentucky Distilled branding campaign.
Yes.
How do you see that evolving? How can we press that, do you think, to our advantage? I think
it's a great slogan, and I think that somehow we might need to tie in our redevelopment, and when I say redevelopment, because I mean everything down there. We could tie that into somehow the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, because right now, you know, Buffalo Trace is not a stop on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, and so you know, somehow by rebranding by making that happen, we can tie those together and make Frankfort a destination.
A lot of times people wonder exactly how we're going to use certain dollars. There's been a big interest in this nearly $8 million Tiger grant. How do you see the development along the 2nd Street corridor being of greatest value to the community, and is there a way to work on that to extend it into other downtown areas?
Well, I think the parameters of the Tiger Grant start, I believe they start at the Capitol Avenue Bridge, come around 2nd Street, and then go all the way towards, and I think it ends right at 2nd Street School. So the main issue that I think is going to solve is that's a very odd intersection there where Bridge Street comes and turns there. The kids have trouble crossing there, so it's going to absolutely fix that. There's been some discussion in some of the city commission work sessions about possibly moving Fire Station 1 there out of that intersection. So They're still doing studies about response times and to make sure that that is in fact the best place for it to be. So I think you're going to see a transformation. City Hall's getting ready to go under a transformation too. There's a firm in there right now, and they're deciding on whether or not how they're going to update City Hall and whether they're going to move the fire station, how the buildings are going to work together, trying to make a one-stop shop, which I think is great. Make a one-stop shop for people coming into City Hall.
How do you see your position on City Commission as influencing any of the action there?
Well, I mean, I'm just one vote. You mean action as to?
Putting forth your opinions about what is going on, establishing any changes you think need to be made, especially funding.
Yes. Well, I mean, there's only a couple ways to. You either got to cut expenses or increase taxes, and I'm definitely not for increasing taxes. I'm for getting warm bodies into South Frankfort. I'm for bringing businesses to South Frankfort, getting occupational taxes, getting more property tax. I think it's a great thing that Secretary Landrum is doing, putting that land that we have down there. That's an asset. It's a real asset, and we're at a crossroads in Franklin County right now. We're going to set the tone. This commission is going to set the tone for what we're going to look like in 10, 20, 30 years. And one thing that I would like to do is I would like to put together a group that would have some type of long-range plan. I don't know that I've ever seen the long-range plan for Franklin County. Now, that could be a joint effort between the city and the county, and it doesn't have to be commissioners. It doesn't have to be magistrates. It can be people of the community, and develop a plan, to where, hey, we want Frankfort to look like in 5 years we want to have a river walk with a marina and outdoor shops that we can stroll on, that people can, now that the locks are open, people can lock through, they can come to Frankfort, they can get out, maybe there could be a new hotel down there. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see the feasibility studies when they come back from City Visions. Unfortunately,
one of the things that's come to our attention to a big degree is the Frankfort Plant Board discussions. What is your stand on that investigation that they instituted?
Well, I'd rather not comment specifically on any particular person on the board, but what I would like to say is, the plant board, we're in a real unique situation here. The city has a budget of roughly $30 million. The plant board is a little bit over $100 million, and it's a city municipality. So, you're kind of wondering who wags who here. That being said, I want to have a lot of more citizen input on whoever is put on not just the plant board, but the Economic Development Board and all the other boards that we have. To me, it doesn't make sense to put someone on a board that has no experience in that field, whether it be buying electricity. Someone that sits on the plant board should understand the grid. They should understand the cooperatives. They should understand how electricity is bought and sold. We talk about this KYMEA in here, and a lot of people think, oh, it's Frankfort that's just in trouble. Well, that's not true. There's 9 or 10 other communities that are in this KYMEA with Frankfort, and we're the big dog. So if we drop out, we're going to be hurting other communities as well. And someone on an economic development board, they should have a little experience on bringing business and industry to Frankfort. I don't think it should be a position of status or stature just because of who you are. I think it should be on credentials. Now, ultimately, whoever gets put on the Frankfort Plant Board, that's got to be voted on by the City Commission.
But how much oversight should there be by the City Commission over those appointments, which must be made by the mayor?
Well, I think it's by statute. So, there's been some talk, and I think we do have our first county resident that has been appointed to the Frankfort Plant Board, and that's a good thing, because Frankfort Plant Board just doesn't serve the city of Frankfort. Their lines and services go beyond the city boundaries in some cases, and it just depends upon what part of the city that you live in.
Do you anticipate seeing any effort by the City Commission members to recruit people who might apply for positions on boards? In other words, can you have an influence or an oversight on those appointments, even though by statute they are being made by the mayor and must be? Well,
now, the way I understand it is the mayor selects them, and then they're approved by all of the City Commission. Okay? I would like to see a little bit better vetting process, and maybe someone maybe have to look at a resume, and like maybe applying for a job, having to say, hey, these are my credentials. This is why I would benefit the citizens of Franklin County by purchasing your power. Now there's other things obviously they do, but that's the main the main thing. When you're talking about buying power, you don't think about it, but just on Facebook, after the cold winter that we had, there were people that they couldn't pay their electric bill. They have electric heat. And if you're talking a 10% increase in power, or even a 5%, there's people that are living paycheck to paycheck. And I know, because I used to do it when my kids were young and I was fresh out of college. I know what it's like. How are we going to pay the rent? How are we going to pay the electric bill? And there's more people out there than you think. And so that's why I think it's really important, to have people on the board that understand, that they're making decisions not only for themselves, but for thousands of people.
How do you think the City Commission might go about reaching out to draw new businesses, new investments, new residents? That's such a multifaceted thing about improving the community. How do you go about bringing it to the attention of people that need to come in here? What are they asking for?
Well, the infrastructure is number one. There's not going to be you're not going to get a technology company here to relocate to Franklin County if the infrastructure, depending upon whether it's wastewater, sewer, or technology, if that's not here. So that's first and foremost that I think the City Commission should concentrate on. There's land out here in Industrial Park that's sitting unused. Why can't we work jointly with the Frankfort Plant Board, the City Commission, and the magistrates to put some high-speed fiber optic network out there and bring 400 jobs to Franklin County? That's and work in conjunction with groups like Downtown Frankfort and the Economic Development Cabinet and different agencies that that do it for a living, that want growth.
All of that requires dollars. Where do we stand from a budgetary standpoint of being able to use dollars to make those improvements and to concentrate on an effort to draw those people in?
That's a great question. Right now, in cash reserves, the city has around $15 million, which is about half the annual budget, okay? I've seen some projections, and if Senate Bill 66 goes through, I believe the required contribution to retirement is going to go from 18% to 26%. Okay, if that happens, then the city's cash reserves are going to are going to dwindle tremendously over the next few years. So as far as having the money sitting there to do new capital projects, there's really not any, and at this point, it's kind of a waiting game to see, what the required contributions are going to be. The other way to get money is private investment, venture capitalism, okay? But it's kind of a double-edged sword. Do we want to tell somebody, hey, we've got this place, we want you to come down here and spend $25 million on a new marina and an outdoor and shops and everything, and us not have the infrastructure. I think the city manager has done a great job securing the Tiger grant. I mean, $8 million, and it's gonna give the other side of the river a facelift. I mean, think about when was the last time you saw any focus on the other side of the river? Now that's my side of the river, because I grew up on 3rd Street, but there hasn't really been any. I want to make Frankfort a destination, and it's not right now. It's not a destination. It's a stopover. It's a lunch date. I want Frankfort. I want people to be able to live here. I want them to be able to work here. I want them to be able to relax here, and I don't want them going to Midway, and I don't want them going to Lexington and Louisville. I love the people of this town, and I want to see. It's time for us to have something nice, because if you just watch, I know I'm probably rambling a little bit, but the biggest event in Franklin County over the last 20 years, think about this for a minute, was destruction of the Capitol Plaza Hotel. It was carried live. These Lexington stations carried the destruction of Frankfort live. There were people on the streets. They were sitting on bridges. They were in houses. They were up. It looked like a 4th of July parade. There were people everywhere, and I thought to myself, when I said, it's sad that we don't have anything that draws people here to come in here and stay. And just like that, after the tower went down and everything was gone, it was just like 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. Everybody just kind of scattered. And I said, and that's our mindset. We need something good. We need to be a destination, and we're not.
Do you have things that you want to focus on, specific things that you think would be an improvement here that you could try to find a way to reach out and draw them in?
I mean, personally, yes, I have visions of grandeur, but whether or not that comes in with the feasibility study done by City Visions, I don't know. And again, I'm not deferring to City Visions, but I would love to see, if Buddy Bennett was, fixing all that stuff downtown. I would have mixed use, residential and commercial, and shops in some of that green space. I'd have a brand new hotel with conventions and meeting spaces, and I would find a way to develop the river over top of the flood wall to where you can sit out on top of the flood wall and look over a new marina with shops, and I envision people outside playing guitars and having food and enjoying themselves.
There are so many different things we could talk about, but we're running down to the end of our time, and I wonder if you would look into this camera.
Sure.
Tell our viewers why you're the best candidate and why they should cast their vote for you on May 22nd.
Buddy Bennett, and I'm asking for your vote because I want transparency, accountability, and growth. And please vote for me on May 22nd, and I promise that no one will outwork me. Thank you.
We want to thank Buddy for taking the time to stop in here and give us a chance to get to know him a little better as a person and a candidate. Stay tuned to the Frankfort Forum. The candidates forum down at the hotel on the 26th of April, and be sure you make an opportunity to get those immediate election returns. Don't forget that in order to have returns, you have to cast your votes. To cast your votes intelligently, you need to come back here and meet the candidates.